Howdy, folks. I'm a footloose fungus that's following frantically feng shui.
I'm Amber and also a little frightened.
And here's some more feng shui. Alright, folks. Our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Choosing My Daughter Over My Wife? I'm a 38-year-old male, and my wife is a 44-year-old female, and we got married about 10 years ago. After 2 years of marriage, we had our first son, an 8-year-old male. It was perfect, our first child. He is such an amazing kid, smart, funny, and great at sports. My wife really loves him. They spend a lot of time together, and she takes him everywhere with her. They have a really special bond. Well, at least that's what I thought. Well, 6 years ago, we find out that we got pregnant again. I was really happy when I found out that it was a girl, but my wife wasn't. She became cold towards her. She spends all of her time with just our son. She started to push me to choose between our kids, and there was no way to bring our daughter with us if we went to see a movie. Or I couldn't take her with me to our son's football game. If I wanted to spend time with my daughter, it couldn't be with my son or my wife around. I didn't understand that at all. Why my wife didn't want our daughter around. As she grew up, I could see that my wife treats her differently. She never got her new clothes, always just some old stuff. Never took her anywhere with her. I tried to say something, but my wife always started to scream that she knows what's best for her and that our daughter was lying. I didn't want to start anything, so I always backed down. So I started to buy new clothes for her. I get her everything her brother had, but we promised each other that my wife wouldn't find out. I know it wasn't the best, but I really love my wife and I don't want to lose her. I don't know why she acts like this. I hate it. It's not the woman that I fell in love with. I gave my daughter the key to her room so that she can lock it. But last week, my wife got in. She found all of the stuff that I got for her. I was at work at the time. And she threw it all out. When I came home from work, I found my stuff packed. My daughter was crying in her room. When I asked her what happened, she didn't say anything. I found my wife in the kitchen and we got into an argument. She told me to get my stuff out of the house and to take our daughter with me. She said that she can see which woman I love more. In that moment, I realized what the problem was. My wife was jealous of her own daughter. I couldn't believe it. So I packed our stuff in the car and left. Now I'm at my friend's house and I have no idea what to do. Am I the jerk for choosing my own daughter over my marriage? Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
You're not the jerk for that, but you are a little bit of the jerk for leaving your daughter in this situation for so long. What your wife has been doing is beyond cruel, and the poor little girl has had to put up with being treated like invisible at best, a horrible burden at worst.
I think it can be really difficult for people to see abusive situations when they crop up, and that's why so many people remain in abusive situations. He clearly loves his wife and wanted to try to make it work, and instead of confronting her about the problem, well, I mean, he attempted to on some level, but she always would yell at him and handled this in a very unhealthy way. I think, unfortunately, it's past time for the relationship to be repaired, and I don't think that your daughter is going to be in a good position if you continue this relationship.
Yeah, I think the best thing for the daughter is to get out of there. You know, you can probably work out shared custody over the son, but your daughter needs to be your sole custody.
Yeah.
And you need to make sure that she's cared for.
Yeah, there's something deeply wrong here, and I don't know why your wife would abandon your daughter like this, but I think that she really needed to get into therapy when this started happening at the very beginning, because it doesn't make any sense why she would hate her daughter like this. It seems like something really just went wrong.
Well, some people just have really weird gender biases, and it sounds like she was afraid of the daughter stealing OP's attention or something, which, I mean, children are naturally going to take some of their parents' attention, and so it's a very strange thing, but people's brains work weirdly.
Yeah, I just feel really bad for both OP and this poor little girl. So, no, OP, I don't think that you're in the wrong, but I do think that you needed to get your daughter out of that situation a long time ago. So, yeah. Anyhow, take care and good luck. And MNBVC Doe says, you're the jerk for letting your daughter grow up in an abusive environment and not stepping in. Would you have done anything to protect your child if your wife hadn't thrown you out? Or would you have just kept living like that? Seriously, you dropped the ball on your poor child. I hope this is a wake-up call and you're going to get both your children out of this. As I said, this is literally an abusive situation. And OP replied, I contacted my lawyer way before this happened, but this was my last straw to stay here, and I'll do everything to get my son out of there. And Rainbow Minnie Mouse says, how do you love someone that's semi-abusive to your daughter? Not the jerk for taking her and leaving, but you're the jerk for taking this long to do something about the situation. And OP replies, I've known my wife for a really long time, and she was never like this towards anyone's. I know it's my fault, I let her do this, and I will regret it forever for not doing anything earlier. Alright folks, our next letter is titled, Am I a jerk for refusing to help my boyfriend and making him sell his car? My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year, and we moved in together in October. Our rent is $2,100 a month, and we each cover $1,050, and we pay around $150 each for utilities, so in total about $1,200 a month. I make around $93,000 a year, and he makes around $68,000 a year. After tax, I take home around $5,300 a month, and he takes around $4,000. And we rented a place with his salary in mind, so he doesn't pay more than 30% for a place. He has a lot of debt, around $5,000, because he has a line of credit that he started that was around $12,000. When he first started dating, he had a credit card, and I helped him consolidate it and negotiate the debt and collections down. So I know his finances pretty well, and I was really wary of continuing the relationship because he wasn't good with money. But he promised to pay his fair share and fix his finances, so I decided to give him a chance. For the most part, he has paid on his debt. He also has $26,000 in student loans that he hasn't paid because he wasn't needed to since it was the pandemic. Recently, his car broke down and it was going to be quite a bit to fix it up. So he said that he was looking at a $7,000 car, and that was a lot, but his old car sold for $2,700. So I thought it wouldn't be too ridiculous since he does have space in his credit line and he needs a car anyways. Then one day a BMW pulls up and he gets out. I initially get a really bad feeling and confront him about it, and he says it's a rental. But when I asked him to see the papers, he gets defensive and we argue until he admits that he bought it. $18,000 for a second-hand BMW. And my dad's a mechanic, so I know any fix on those cars is going to cost a fortune. I'm so mad, and I yell at him for doing something so stupid, and he gets mad, and we have a big fight over it. We are still arguing, and it turns out that his car has a 14% interest rate, which is ridiculous. I thought that he could just pay it off with his line of credit and then pay the line of credit off, but he can't because the contract he signed says that he can't repay it off for 2 years. That is criminal. Well, yesterday he asked if I would be willing to pay an extra $200 in rent because he doesn't have any money left over. He was an extra $450 in cost every month because of the car, and he needs to start paying student loans again in a few months. I pointed out that if he didn't buy an expensive car, that he would have the extra $200 a month, and that I refused to help. He gets mad and points out that I'm making more money than him and I have lots of savings, so I can afford to help him. I tell him that he's proven all of my fears that I have about him being bad with money, and he lied about the promise that he made that he will change. He gets really angry and says that I'm a bee and that I only care about money and drives off. I'm wondering if I made a mistake giving him a chance, but at the same time, $200 isn't a lot, but I'm worried if I bail him out now, he just will continue to be irresponsible. He will have to sell the car that he can't afford, and no doubt he will blame me for not helping him. But I don't feel like I have to financially support him having an expensive car. Alright folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk for this. Now, there is an argument to be made that since OP is making more, that they should have split their finances a little differently. But over this whole car thing, I mean, he made a unilateral decision that affects the household finances, and has refused to take any input from you on the matter. And I think you're perfectly well within your right to say that I'm not going to finance your expensive car.
Yeah, used BMW seems like a really bad idea. It's one of those expensive type of cars that are only going to cost more with time. And I'm afraid since it costs so little for what a BMW is, right? BMWs usually are pretty expensive cars. 18,000 is not a lot for a BMW from what I understand. I mean, maybe I'm just misremembering, but it seems like this is going to be a car that's on the lower end of its lifespan. So he's going to be expecting to put a lot of repairs into this over the course of years.
It's going to become a money pit. And then when he gets more and more car bills, like if you make a concession now, then what happens when he has to pay $5,000 for some parts and then he doesn't have money to pay rent?
Yeah, it seems like this is just going to spiral. And it's really unfortunate that he was talked into buying this car. And that's the trouble with someone who might have, it seems like he might have some impulse control issues. And he went to a dealership, and the dealership probably talked him into buying a car, an expensive car that he didn't really need or want. And he fell in love with it because salesmen, are really good at that. So I think that in the future, if you do have a future with him, that you probably want to join him when he's picking out a car.
Well, that's the thing is like, if you know you have impulse control problems, like it's on you to bring someone with you to like keep you grounded. And it sounds like he explicitly tried to hide this from OP.
Yeah.
Knowing that she wouldn't approve.
Yeah.
And like, that doesn't bode well.
No, the deception here I think was really immature and irresponsible. It's really unfortunate, and I do want to go touch back onto the point that you made about how the finances are divided. I think that dividing finances 50-50 can be fine. I think with as much money as they're both making, that's probably not a big deal. But also, sometimes it is helpful to divide finances proportionally to how much people bring home for their income. And so that would give him a little more leniency to pay off bills. But again, like it feels like OP was giving him a probation type of situation, and he kind of failed it here. So I don't blame OP for being upset with this because he really did go back on his word, and it shows that all it takes is one really bad financial decision to sink you. Take care and good luck. And Gordon Blue 133 says, "Not the jerk, you've done the right thing. Having him drive up in a car just proved once and for all your fears of him and money." And Ninja Taurus says, "Not the jerk, leave this relationship immediately. You should have left him the first minute you realized that he can't control his finances." And No Scientist 7086 says, "It's unfortunate, but this won't change. He wanted a flashy ride instead of financial stability. Scary." All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here. And Amber, she's got a joke.
What did one bee say to the other?
Well, I know what one bee said to the other, and we've already had a discussion about me and bees. We're like this. So, one day, I was walking by the hive, as I do, and I overheard the conversation between two bees. And one bee said to the other, "Hey, you got any honey?" And the other bee was like, "It's in the comb, it's in the hive. You must be an imposter because all the other bees know that the honey's in the hive." And so they kicked the one imposter bee out. It wasn't really a bee, so it made sense.
Then it wouldn't really be two bees talking. I love being with you.
Well, you do have a point there. And I have Mega Mint. Alright, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Wednesday, hump day. I hope your week is going alright. And Amber, we need some moral guidance. Everyone loves your moral guidance. It's the talk of the town. Please supply us with the moral guidance and have it involve a swarm of honeybees.
When looking for a partner, it's great to have someone who has their finances straight and doesn't make impulse purchases like buying a swarm of bees.
Yeah, I mean, that would be quite the impulse purchase.
Especially if they're angry ones.
Yeah, if they're angry bees, all bets are off. That's why you get a smoker. You smoke the bees, they become docile. It's true. It's true. And thanks so much for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow.
Bye. I mean, like, if it makes sense to you, it makes sense to you.
Like, I'm following feng shui by doing it frantically, which means that I'm like tearing my house. I'm a mushroom. I'm tearing my house apart, hanging things up haphazardly just to make sure it follows feng shui correctly.
I thought you were like athlete's foot fungus or something, because you said you were a footloose fungus.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm not like an athlete's foot fungus. I'm just like a regular, like one of the like Mushroom Kingdom mushrooms from like Mario, like Toad.
All right, Mario, let's get the feng shui taken care of. We gotta decorate the house for the princess.
Like that. Does that make sense now?
Do you ever make sense is the better question.
I think it makes sense now. I think now that it's been thoroughly explained, it does make sense. The referee, I've contacted the judges. They've all said that yes, it makes sense, and that there can be Mushroom Kingdom mushrooms frantically trying to redecorate a house for the princess using feng shui.